Hi there, alright, so welcome back to a new episode of Toy Boys, and I'm really pleased to say that we're going to break format a little bit. I know normally it's all about nostalgic toys, but this might bring a little bit of nostalgia for some of you. I'm going to talk about some of my old playthings. Starting off with this, my first ever concertina. Now, I know some people don't really like the concertina, and it's not too keen, but I'm really proud of it, and I'm really proud of what we do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you just a little sort of playthrough so you can see what it's like.
This is the voice of the Mysterons.
So, what have we got this week then?
Okay, so what we have is something rather exciting from a childhood thing that's very close to my heart.
Yeah.
Which is my favourite old Gerry Anderson. It's one of his products.
Is this your favourite Gerry Anderson?
No, Gerry Anderson is one of my favourites. I'm not. Captain Scarlet's high up there on my favourites. It's a bit darker than some of the Gerry Anderson, the Supermarionation things. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I've got a real soft spot for Space Precinct 2049.
Oh yes.
As you know,
yes.
I have a real soft spot for that.
That was I'd forgotten that was Gerry Anderson. You know, because it's so unlike all of his other
because it's not marionettes.
properties. Yeah.
It's a lot of puppet work, a lot of model work. So
yeah,
like lots of the scenes look like they're out of Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
But it does actually have live action in it.
Mm.
So yeah, people do forget it's Gerry Anderson. But no, what I'm talking about is let's for now say my second favourite.
Yeah.
Although that would have to get me talking about Joe 90 to really tell you the truth. I don't want to do that now.
Yeah. So among your favourites,
Among my favourites,
Gerry Anderson
is Captain Scarlet.
Yes.
And what was one of the things that made Captain Scarlet absolutely fantastic?
He was indestructible.
He was indestructible.
The SPV vehicle.
The SPV, okay, yeah, car that goes backwards, that was pretty damn fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about a really compelling villain. I think that makes a show really good.
Yes.
He's a compelling villain, and what did Captain Scarlet have as a villain?
Why? Captain Black, of course.
You fuckwit. God damn.
And what was Captain Black?
You can't take a horse to water. I'd say you can, but you can't make the twat get his line right.
Yeah. It was a Mysteron.
It was a Mysteron.
It was a Mysteron.
The Mysterons! Yeah, it was the Mysterons.
Oh my goodness.
So what we have here is
We're not Mysterons.
What we have here is the accessory that every kid who wanted to play Captain Scarlet needed. It is the Mysteron's lamp.
Wow.
Now, this is something that has been around for as long as Captain Scarlet's been around. I think there's been a version of this forever, isn't there?
Yeah, I
and
think
there's been some different incarnations of it, I think.
It would not surprise me.
I vaguely remember one that you could put on your wrist or something like that. They were very different ones.
Well, this is 1993 I've got here, so...
That's my era of watching Captain Scarlet. I think they were the old shows, but they were being shown to a whole new generation of kids.
Yeah, it's got a weird hairdryer feel to it, hasn't it? It's
yeah, just a little bit.
It's like the front leaning handle, I think, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to have that megaphone style handle.
Yeah. I mean, this might have been in the kind of era when guns and toys were a big no-no.
True. I think, yeah.
But if that were the case, I don't know why they put this weird sound effect on it. Like,
yeah, we don't know what that is.
Serves no real purpose.
There's part of this that makes total sense. That is not one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has this sort of what we assume is a gunshot effect because, of course, as you know, a character must first die before it can then be taken over by the Mysterons.
Yeah. Were they taken over or were they copied?
That I'm not too sure. You probably know this one better than me. So if you say copied, I'll go with copied.
I think they were copied. I could be wrong, but that's what my gut says.
Yeah. There was definitely a thing of characters would die and then they would be replaced by a Mysteron, whether within the same body or whatever. And a trait of those Mysterons, if I understand, there's going to be some really angry Captain Scarlet fans, but the trait of those Mysterons was they couldn't die. Because Captain Scarlet works because he's a Mysteron who's on our side, isn't he?
Yes, I think so.
If I understand it correctly, the beginning of Captain Scarlet dies.
Yeah.
He's taken over by a Mysteron, and for whatever reason,
Yeah.
that Mysteron then sides with humans.
Something went wrong with that copy, and now the Mysteron truly believes that he is Captain Scarlet.
Which is foolish, as of course everyone knows that a Mysteron would not betray other Mysterons and would know when it was a Mysteron.
Yeah,
To help you know that it is a Mysteron, we've got a couple of events. Now, one on here, the lights are too bright in here to show you straight away.
Yeah.
But the bits I can show you now are things like this here. So this is, have you ever been to a seaside town, particularly in the sort of 90s to the early noughties,
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
and found microphones? Big pastel coloured microphones, and they had a huge hole, and they had this bit in here. And what they were was a really simple toy that has springs inside, and it's a bit like, for those of you who like guitars, sometimes you get old amps with spring reverb units. So it literally is a spring that shakes, and that's what makes the reverb. That's exactly how these work. So if I talk into this end, it's not coming across. There we go. If I talk into this end, everything becomes slightly distorted and slightly reverby. And yeah, so it's exactly the same thing that was used on those old microphones. So that's immediately what this toy takes me back to, is being in stores selling tat and slightly pornographic postcards. And you'd spend a while trying to convince your parents to let you buy one of those mics, even though no one in their right mind will ever use it again.
Yeah. Although there is a chap in Liverpool who consistently busks with one.
You're doing all the hits.
If by all the hits you mean, shouting incoherently, then yes.
Oh dear.
So yeah, you've got this useless. I guess there was it has to be a gun as well, but it can't look like a gun, and it can't say gun anywhere on it. So if you make it look like a hairdryer but make it do that, then you're good. Should we try and show the light?
Yeah, we will try and show the light. Should be having a look at it now.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is what it's like. We've turned all the lights off in the room, and we've got the darkest curtains we can get.
And
there's no daylight coming through.
And it's still not very bright.
on this surface, on the white sort of table that we're working on, it comes across really well. And on my hand, it comes across quite well. But anything else, so if we move it from here down to the carpet, immediately partly because of the camera we can't see anything.
Yeah.
It's too really
I mean, you can
blocks.
see it. You can see it with the naked eye, but anything over 4 feet away, just forget it. Really. I mean,
yeah, it's not happening.
I tried putting a rechargeable battery in it. I think it's perhaps a little bit brighter, but not by much.
Maybe. Yeah. Not that you'd notice.
No.
And again, the weird handle on it starts to get a bit weird when you're trying to point it somewhere.
Yeah. It's kind of, you can point directly forwards just about, but...
I'll be honest, the actual light is relatively disappointing. It is exactly what it is. It is the two rings from the Mysterons. Yeah. But, I mean, it's not particularly green. I always remember the light being green.
I don't know if they were green, yeah. I think this is pretty accurate for what it was.
Okay.
I think often what the thing was, they'd always, for the death scene, they'd always be noir lighting. So it would always be really kind of pale blues and greens, which is what I seem to remember. But I think the lights themselves are actually just bright lights of natural colour. Right. But I could be wrong equally.
The phrase "bright lights" I think shows the problem with this. It's quite weak.
I think it's. I mean, I've tried putting more powerful batteries in this. It runs off 2 AA's for those who are interested. And it's a nightmare. You have to pull this front bit off, and it doesn't want to come off. So you end up wrenching the thing, and the batteries fly across the room, and it's all a big kerfuffle.
As I did,
5
minutes ago.
So yeah, I haven't had any better results. So I'm assuming it's a we don't want your child to blind themselves type affair, because even looking directly into the barrel of this with it turned on is not a problem at all. Yeah, this is less powerful than your modern day LED torches and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, like, sort of the light that's on your phone charger,
Yeah,
like, is brighter than this.
yeah. Certainly the light on your phone,
Oh yeah.
if you have the app,
Yeah.
the torch app. Yeah. So the typical dialogue would go something like this. This is the voice of the Mysterons. We will blow up a bank at 3 o'clock on Tuesday. Ha ha ha. And then Spectrum would be like, oh shit, we better
Do something about that bank.
We better
like,
get researching banks, find out who's got a Mysteron in there. I think the Mysterons would have gotten away with a lot more acts of terrorism had they not informed Spectrum.
Yeah, it feels like a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
On behalf of terrorists.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, it's nice, you know. Like,
yeah.
We appreciate
helpful.
the phone call, you know. But,
yeah, we like to know that, you know, it's sort of, it's nice to be able to go to the club and know which club you should go to.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, you know, if it's like, 3 o'clock Tuesday, I'm going to avoid all banks. And
yeah.
It can wait till Wednesday. You know? So there's that, I guess.
Yeah, there is that. I think the Mysterons, there's an element of the Columbo thing to it. You know how Columbo shows you who was the murderer?
Yeah,
so show.
It's not a whodunit so much as watch Columbo find out who done it.
Yeah, the same sort of thing happened with Captain Scarlet, because normally you'd see the person who's been replaced by a thing at the very beginning of the episodes. Like there'd be someone in a lab working on a virus.
Yeah.
And then she would die.
Yeah.
And then the things come out, and you know, you'd see the Mysterons, the lights floating over her, and the Mysterons would take over. And then about 10 minutes in, Captain Scarlet would meet this woman who we've seen before.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Captain Scarlet, I've heard of you. You work with Spectrum, is that right? The only other two I can remember are Lieutenant Green and Colonel White, and the Angels.
There's Captain Ochre, who's definitely a character.
He was first in line for colours. Captain Ochre, oh what? Can't it be like, you know, Captain Red or something like that? No, you're Ochre.
There was definitely some other people as well. Like I can't remember all of them. Like it was a good move with Gerry Anderson, so you could just go like,
yeah,
I need someone else in here. Bring me that Dulux chart.
Yeah. Captain Salmon. And the Angels were like Harmony, Melody, and Rhapsody.
Something like that. The Angels, weirdly enough, at that age I wasn't paying attention to the women on screen. I genuinely didn't look at it. They flew planes. I wasn't as interested in planes.
I don't remember them doing much, to be honest. Like,
there's an episode that's about them, because it's like set in Los Angeles or something, and they call it literally like Lost Angels.
Oh yeah,
the episode, something like that.
The Place of the Angels. Yeah,
yeah,
I remember that one.
Again, this is me half remembering Captain Scarlet, but I understand that the premise of the show is that the Mysterons were sort of discovered, and Captain Scarlet and his mates or whatever thought that a telescope they had was a gun, and so they attacked the Mysterons when the Mysterons hadn't threatened us. And so the Mysterons had come in peace.
Yes.
We attacked them, and so we started the war, is the idea.
That was Captain Black doing that as well.
Oh, right, okay, that might
was
be it. Right.
Yeah, and they kill him first, and that's why he's like a permanent
okay, that
fixture,
makes
because
sense.
he was like the instigator of the war, essentially.
Yeah.
So he's like a figurehead for the Mysterons.
One thing I wish we had around here is I used to have some fantastic Captain Scarlet vehicles. I had some die-cast toys.
Yeah.
Some of them, the SPV vehicle came with spring-loaded actions because it had like a little missile or something to fire at, and it also had the weird side-loading doors.
Well, I've got one at my place, so maybe if we do some more filming at Christmas, then we could wheel that out.
Okay, we'll pull that out at Christmas.
As a little. I've also got the red
Yes, the one that Captain Oka drove.
Is that what Captain Oka drove?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all like they were in the same episode.
The Spectrum Losermobile. It's just like this two-seater red car with a.
It was kind of like a DeLorean. Like
yeah,
it had a sort of DeLorean vibe to it.
So if you imagine a DeLorean with like a spacious boot or trunk, if you prefer, that's what it was like, because the back lifted off.
I remember that.
And it was like there's storage space in the back, but it still only seats two. And like, oh, great.
Was it ever explained why the Spectrum Patrol vehicle had to drive backwards?
I think it was that the front was just like completely armoured, so like the front was just like a solid hunk of like metal that they could like drive through walls and stuff with, and would like withstand, you know, tank fire. And so I think that was what they said. It's just the front of the vehicle is like just completely armoured, and the drivers are at the back facing away from the front, so as to protect them. That
makes sense.
Yeah, as a kid, that was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, you know. But now I'm kind of thinking, well, why didn't you just, you know, face forwards?
Yeah.
But it was a cool concept.
No, it was like, because I know things like that links into the whole thing of how Captain Scarlet was one of the more violent kids things that I used to watch as well.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Because it was Thunderbirds had it a bit, but Thunderbirds had a thing where, because they were mostly about rescuing people.
Yeah.
They very rarely had fights with people.
Yeah, it didn't come up much.
But it did happen sometimes. But like Captain Scarlet was pretty much military, so there were gunfights on like every episode. Yeah. They were just constantly capping fools with those ridiculous guns.
The thing is, when you've got a character that's indestructible, I guess, like you're gonna fuck him up. Like, you know,
like the entire end credits of the show was just a list of things, ways to fuck up Captain Scarlet.
And wasn't the opening credits him being shot in a way? I'm sure that
it was, because it's like an unnamed figure.
Yeah.
It's like Captain Scarlet steps out and goes, "Who's there?" and a shadowy figure walks out.
Yeah.
You see footsteps. It's weird because there's no music to it either.
No, and you proper see him, like, the gunshot appear on him, don't you? It's
it's
not
really
there's a shot
weird.
And you don't see where it lands. You get the squib.
It's like the start of every new Batman franchise.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I wonder what's down this alley. Batman. And they just get murdered.
Batman's down this alley.
That whole thing about where it ranks on my Gerry Anderson thing, the problem is that Gerry Anderson always ranks high for me.
Yeah.
Gerry Anderson, I think, really makes fantastic television for children.
And
the fact that it's been remade with CGI bullshit is really disappointing. Like, kids don't
we
mind
should talk
puppets.
a little bit about the new resurgence of Captain Scarlet. Have you seen it? Because I haven't, so I can't really.
No, it was one of the things where I saw it and I was like, look, I'm not interested in going and watching it. I think it was something that was very of its time and doesn't need to be redone.
Yeah.
Partly because I just don't think the idea of superheroes existing like that would be a thing anymore. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was an understated superhero, wasn't he? He was kind of.
Yeah, and something you can see in the new CGI Thunderbirds thing they've made is that all the Suns and Thunderbirds have been made to look a lot younger. I mean, they weren't old in the original Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
But they're made to look like teenagers. They're made to look like kids. I feel this thing where that kind of trend in things doesn't fit with Gerry Anderson. Because Gerry Anderson's heroes were like adults. Like, it was watching adults do adult things, fighting wars and shit.
I mean, like, when I watched Thunderbirds as a kid, I always thought that that the brothers were at their youngest in their 20s, something like that. You know?
Yeah, I think the youngest would have been
Alan?
Number 3, Alan, yeah.
Alan Tracy. So I assumed he was like 20 something. Like maybe
because he was treated like he was young, but never this idea that he was a child.
Yeah.
And again, the show probably doesn't say that they're children, but they look very childish. They give them very childish haircuts. They look like kids. It's like, again, Captain Scarlet sort of came from that kind of very 50s adventure comic thing. And same thing with Thunderbirds. It was all kind of reflecting that. It was all that sort of future version of the 60s. Like this sort of Jetsons idea of the future, and with that sort of man's adventure magazine kind of story writing of sort of this fellow with his square jaw and his 5 o'clock shadow are going to go off and take care of some of that things across the seas.
It was a really interesting kind of sci-fi, wasn't it, Thunderbirds? Because it was kind of like, what would it be like just like a few years in the future, not like a ridiculous amount of time, but like what's the immediate future?
I mean, they always filled it with stuff that wouldn't come, but it came eventually. It didn't come in the next few years. So by 1975 they didn't have video phones.
Yeah.
But like, we did eventually, and it's sort of,
Yeah.
like I say, again, very Jetsons, very what everyone was thinking, because like it was almost all of it was about like how will things get better.
Well, the video phone is kind of like the next logical step from the phone, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, if you can have
if I can hear someone's voice,
why can't I have an image as well?
Yeah, why can't I see them while I talk to them?
Yeah. So.
And that sort of thing, things like a lot of conveyor belts, a lot
There were a lot of conveyor belts, weren't there?
a lot of very high tech machines that ran on tape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Analog, that's the future.
Yeah, magnets. I'm telling you, man, everything has to run on magnets.
Magnets, man. It's just how it goes. I mean, not that I'm suggesting that Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet should have like tried to show digital technology in use, because I honestly don't even know how that would work. But
Dude, we gotta go. It's 3 o'clock.
shit.
If you've enjoyed watching us talk about an old show that isn't on TV anymore and look at a toy, well then, why don't you click over to the left and go see our videos on Reboot. We did 4 of them, and they're pretty fun. And if you want to see more videos from us, why not click to the right and subscribe. Hey, check out that clip. We're pissing ourselves.